r/ask Reddit. What do you think would be completely obsolete in the next decade? Print encyclopedias. The Encyclopedia Britannica announced that it was going to stop publishing print editions in March 2015. For all of the criticism that Wikipedia, perhaps unfairly, gets, it completely changed the game as far as how knowledge is transferred, and I don't think there's any way back from that. Edit. For everyone queuing up to tell me that they're already obsolete, there are a number of companies aside from Britannica who still publish complete print editions. I know this because I looked it up, you know, on Wikipedia. There are some things that are still nice to have in print, but encyclopedias aren't one of them. Being able to keep an encyclopedia constantly updated and search its entire text in seconds are massive advantages over print. Edit. My top comment is now about the advantages of electronic encyclopedias. Interesting. Then let's hope school textbooks go the same way soon. The publishers are resistant to it though. Too much money and new editions each year. Pennies. Seriously, I wouldn't care if everything was rounded. Edit. Brace yourselves. No, I did not mean penises. That would truly be tragic. And I know pennies around. Already gone in Canada. The nickel might be next. Canadian here. I freaking hate nickels. Now. Standalone GPSs. Car ones I will agree, but I still use my handheld one when hiking. You can get areas with really spotty reception in the middle of wooded mountains. Edit. All you people saying just download maps offline have clearly never gone on multi-day stints in the wilderness. And I do geocaching. And frankly, even if I save offline maps, my phone does not have the same accuracy as the handheld GPS without cell towers and range in wooded areas. Similarly, I use a Rhino GPS walkie-talkie when hunting with other people. Every press of the talk button updates your position on devices within range so everyone can see where everyone else is. It allows for better strategic movement without talking and making noise, while also making it safer as people know what direction is safe to shoot in and where everyone is. Also, it lets me know when my cousin has snuck back into camp to drink my beer. I'm a professional driver, so me. Self-driving cars are going to be following all traffic laws to reduce liability risks though, so there will still be a market for getaway drivers and transporters. You just accidentally came up with the coolest film plot on the planet. Space Getaway Driver. Any true semblance of privacy. But if you don't have anything to hide, then you'll got no thing to worry about. If you choose not to live as a hermit, you've pretty much already given up on it. Funny thing is, I don't think that many people really care. Hopefully, Alzheimer's. It's such a terrible disease and I keep hearing that we're only a few years from a cure, so hopefully it will be soon. Hopefully we can forget all about it. Ugh. Take your upvote, you savage. House phones. Everyone's got a mobile now, what's the point? Look at you with a good phone signal at your house. Look at this guy on the Forbes richest list with a house. I work at a factory heavily reliant on a man-force assembly line. More and more parts are becoming automated every year. So, my plant isn't going to necessarily have a need for me since my job is to put together work instructions and train for new stuff. Some dude 2,000 miles away can reprogram the ducking things to do the work, and it will take him maybe 1 out of 10 of the time it would take me to prepare and train and show evidence of preparation and training. At least 6 times a month. I work in a low-yield high-mix manufacturing and hear people uninformed about the industry talk about how machines are going to take a lot of jobs. Open bracket. Not saying you're saying that. We likely work in different industries. The thing people don't realize is how expensive machines and people to design and manufacture specialized machines are. If we make 5 of an assembly a year for a customer, there is little incentive in purchasing any specialized assembly tooling or machines to make it. I think in 25 years for sure. But 10 isn't very long, and I haven't seen the industry really evolve drastically towards automation in the last 5 years I've been doing it. Let's just say my company already has automated plants that make much larger things than what we build here. But there also isn't as much stock in my field as it's mostly a recreational thing. However, we have been seeing an increase in sales and profits. Any current video game. I can still play Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 on my N64 no problem. but duck me if I want to play any modern game where the server has been shut down. Yep, that's the reason why any games I play nowadays are offline single player. For example, I can most likely play Fallout 3 and New Vegas 20 plus years in the future. Fallout 76 I might not be able to play 5 years from now. Yup, Paragon was only a few years old and it shut down. Hell, there are countless games out there that have since shut down. I've heard the new Hitman is really pretty good, but it's always online despite being a single player game. I don't want to invest time in a game that I can't lovingly revisit in a decade or so. I mean, I just ordered some PS2 cords and games last week and have been enjoying Katamari Damacy. I want to be able to do that in the future. Edit. I'm being told Hitman is able to be played offline, which is legitimately exciting news. GameStop edit. I didn't think this would be the comments to put me over 300k, but here we are. My local mall GameStop barely has games now. They have 3 little shelves for Switch, PS4, and Xbox One, and the rest of the store is t-shirts, Funko Pops, and other nerd merch. It's always empty. However, the game trader down the road from it is packed with games from every generation and is always super busy. The only merch they have is a little rack of video game themed keychains and some imported figurines. It's almost as if people go to game stores for games and not Funko Pops. I believe GameStop merged with ThinkGeek, which was a pretty smart move on GameStop's part. With so many games being downloadable, they gotta expand their products, and ThinkGeek stuff is perfect. I live in a little town with not many stores, so it's nice to be able to go to GameStop and buy things like my Zelda umbrella and Joust's Now globe. Hopefully fax machines. The medical industry won't let them die, ever. Apparently, HIPAA won't allow it. Edit. Wow, did this get away from me more than I expected? Sorry folks, I was not trying to be all-encompassing. Simply as it relates to my own work, many doctors' offices and hospital systems will not release information via email or even electronic record systems. They insist on having wet signed releases of information and will only fax, or insist on USPS, not use electronic record distribution. YMMV obviously. That's just my own anecdotal experience. I'm sure other industries get the same way, as many people have mentioned. Banks, hotels, etc. It's their job to keep things from dying, so it makes sense, I guess. Edit. Thanks for my first gold, anonymous redditor. Much appreciated. For normal consumers, non-LED lights. They are easy to make and cheap. We mainly keep the old ones or of habit, but as taste in lamps change they'll likely die out. My boss believes LED lights create a 3D map of the room they're in and send the data back to the government through the electrical lines. Non-LED lights won't ever be obsolete to him. Edit. Okay guys, so he also thinks 9/11 was a hologram. No planes. This is awesome. I love people's paranoia sometimes. Plastic straws. I read the other day that McDonald's are going to use paper straws instead, but I can't help wondering how that'll work with their milkshakes. You already need to suck with the force of 1000 Dyson Hoovers to get anything out the plastic straws. If bamboo straws can ever get a hold over here, they are awesome. As a clock repairman, I can see the selling of mechanical clocks being obsolete. Repairing them will still be around for years until younger generations no longer pay to keep them going and end up throwing them away. Mechanical watches, I believe, will always be around. I think mechanical clocks will still be around, just mostly considered a piece of decor that gets tossed when it stops working. I mean, if it's a mechanical clock, I'd hesitate just throwing it away. A quartz analog? Yep, who cares? Prob can get a new one for $5 at Walmart. But a real mechanical clock, I'd hang on to that until I could either repair or sell it as is. Hopefully, cable TV, duck, cable, companies. The companies will still be around. They just won't be cable TV companies anymore. You're going to see more and more companies that integrate content production, distribution, and delivery. Verizon and Comcast are already doing this, and other media companies are rapidly trying to do the same thing. We've already seen Disney buy tons of other studios and media brands and begin working on their own streaming service. Don't be surprised when they start looking to acquire a huge telecommunications company. Also, as bad as cable companies are, There's no reason to expect the new mega media companies will be any better, or God forbid, even as good, compared to them. While cable companies will go away, we will end up with 60 different streaming services. These services will compete with each other and eventually consolidate into a few major streaming services that will be comparable to cable TV. Facebook on its own, not the parent company. They're still running Instagram and whatever other assets they have. My mom's generation will still be alive, and she and her friends will keep it going. They are obsessed and will be on Facebook until they die. Online anonymity. I agree. Bob. I desperately hope their name is actually Bob. I know it's unlikely, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Phones with buttons. I like buttons. Same here. I'd never be able to keep my pants up without them. People have no idea how short a decade is. As long as the majority of old people prefer something, it will still be around. Edit. I could have worded this better since something can still around despite being obsolete. Vinyl records. I agree with you on this. Most of the things I'm seeing in this thread are decades out. Yellow Pages books. Are they not already? No, I got one through my door yesterday. Seems to be more for work and businesses than for the public numbers. Writing checks. Edited to explain. I work at a bank. With the popularity of debit credit cards, ACH payments, and online bill pay rising, I can see checks slowly fading out. The older generation is holding tight, but once they are gone, the new generation will stick to electronic banking. Checks are a huge window to get scammed. Most people have literally all of their personal info on the top of their checks. Name, address, phone number, and even driver's license numbers. And all of their banking info on the bottom. Routing number and account number. Why people still continue to use them is beyond me, but I sincerely hope they become obsolete soon. Why people still continue to use them is beyond me, because the city and county charge me an extra fee to pay my car registration, property tax, and utility bills if I don't use checks. They get enough out of me without having to give them a convenience fee too. Pay by credit card conveniently. Only a $12 processing fee. Save on stamps. Seriously. Duck PA municipal services. Maybe not in the next decade, but I wouldn't be surprised if football and the NFL are vastly different than they are today. With all the CTE research coming out, I think you'll start seeing more and more parents not allowing their children to play. I was going to say high school football. Number of players is dwindling, and I think insurers will stop covering it without a huge upcharge. My high school was very well known for its football team. Parents would move just so their kids could play there, but that was 10 years ago. I have a friend who now works at the school, and he told me that they had to beg students to sign up for football last year, and he's not sure if they're even gonna bother with it this year. Kids just aren't interested anymore. Magazines. True and awful. What if the tablet dies and I need to poop? To the shampoo bottle with your bad self. In Canada we have English and French, so that's twice the reading. Bank tellers. I was a teller for over 3 years and saw my machine overlords begin to be installed. Sure, there will be bankers and likely one lead teller always available for the 3 hours a day that banks are open. But enhanced ATMs are replacing tellers daily. I don't think they'll even make it 10 years. Enhanced ATMs are magical. They put one in at the hospital across the street from where I used to live. Deposit money, cash checks, get 5s and 1s, whether it's 6 AM or 11 PM. Edit. Goddammit guys. I go to work for 6 hours and this thing blows up. Why do my most inconsequential comments rake in the upvotes? Telemarketers. Just kidding. The last person to die on earth will be the telemarketer trying to sell a timeshare to the next to the last person to die. JavaScript frameworks, one can hope. The current ones will be obsolete and will have been replaced with something cooler 10x in a decade. Reddit. If the new redesign is anything to go by, they are desperate to increase the view count on posts and increase ad revenue. Visit Reddit in incognito mode, and the default design is the new redesign, and they have an incy-wincy pop-up at the top giving you the option to visit the old design. They want new users to use the new design. I see no other reason to why they decided to make such a drastic change to their layout. Facebook employs a strategy of automatically playing videos that come into view, so they can register it as a view, and be more lucrative to advertisers. I think Reddit is trying the same. Also, the number of gilded posts in the front page has suddenly shot up. Maybe they have changed the algo to just show more gilded posts. Maybe. But I've also noticed an increase in gildings in smaller subs with relatively smaller user bases, which does not usually see a gilded post. I suspect admins have been given the message to spread the gold more further and more often. Reddit must be in need of more cash flow, and saw that the old layout wasn't helping, and hence the drastic change. Most hate the new design and won't use it. New users might be caught up in the new look, but who knows if the engagement would be lost as Reddit and the new look is just another social media site. If Reddit gets desperate and forces the new look onto existing users, we might see another dig migration. Possibly. I find the new design unusable, as in, more than that I don't like the aesthetics. It's ducking unusable. There's not really an alternative to Reddit out there, but once they, inevitably, remove access to the old design, it'll force me elsewhere. YouTube if they carry on in the same way. YouTube has been pushing big efforts towards their TV service, but I don't see it gaining much traction. They gotta innovate other ways, and the fact that they pick and choose to cater their brand is not helping their cause to many users who go to view specific content. It's going to take something absolutely huge, with a huge level of people willing to cross over for YouTube to die. It is far too ingrained on everyone that YouTube is where you go for videos. It's had all this time to build up a library of videos for people to find and watch. Honestly, I can't see it dying for a very long time yet. Traditional casts for broken bones. 3D printing will make lighter, more breathable customized casts. Too late for me. I broke my wrist as a kid and they set it wrong. I have no cartilage left. Hope they come up with something before the whole thing fails. That's interesting, but I totally thought you were gonna say 3D printing will make lighter, more breathable bones. Paper tickets. So you can be charged $4.50 for convenience fee. Thanks Ticketmaster. My girlfriend and I still always buy the physical tickets. More of a keepsake type thing for us. Television. More and more people are moving to the internet for all their video needs. It's only a matter of time before YouTube, Hulu, Netflix, and other video sites take over the market. For the younger generations, definitely, regular TV is still watched by older people. Give it 20 years or so. Hopefully Bitcoin mining so I can finally afford a graphics card. Live television with bulk ad breaks. Pay TV will be replaced by streaming. The ads on streaming will just morph into bulk ad breaks. It's already happening. Some programming languages. If the mining and health industries have any say in it, COBOL will be around forever. Editors many are pointing out. Banks too. I was just referencing the industries I'm familiar with. People who do stuff like data entry, case processing, basically anything computer based and repetitive. Offices are fast becoming like factories with far more automation taking the strain of this kind of stuff. The technological age is basically doing what the industrial age did when we started putting machinery in factories. You can replace teams of people with machines, robots. The same applies to computer-based work and it's happening, accelerating at a rapid pace. Physical media for the most part, i.e. games, Blu-ray discs, CDD. Maybe, but I hope not. I like having physical copies of things, especially Blu-rays. I'm not against streaming at all, but I like to physically own items. Wait 15-30 years for there to be a nostalgia boom. CDs will be like vinyl to the next generation. Pay-per-view. On the other hand, everything's a subscription. It pains me to say, but I'm going with manual transmissions. As it is, they're getting harder and harder to find. Now in Europe they're still mostly manuals. Mick Jobs. In 10+ years, robots will be flipping burgers because kids don't want those kinds of jobs anymore. A burger flipping robot may cost about $350. 000, but it'll pay for itself in the first fiscal quarter. It won't take sick leave. It won't ejaculate or put pubes into people's food. It won't put its dong in the mayonnaise or shove hot dogs up its vagina and then give it to a customer to eat. It won't quit in the middle of a busy shift. It doesn't require health insurance. It'll never claim workers' comp. It'll just keep flipping burgers and making sandwiches and cooking fries 24/7. Forever. AD carries. Democrats and Republicans, bring back the bull moose and wigs. The Paul brothers, and ironically, rice gum will be too. Excuse me, irrelevant. Today I learned people are really optimistic. I've seen multiple people say disposable paper and plastic products, internal combustion engine cars and fossil fuel power, those will be around our entire lifetimes, and probably longer. Billboard advertisements. Advertising budgets will mostly be thrown into personalized adverts based on data they scrapped off your social media about you. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.